Right, thank you, Speaker, for the speech. Invite first speaker from closing governments.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a hard case in here, okay? So, because we are talking about marriage. But what I would like to do in my speech, I would like first to clarify what is the proposition of the first government. What are the expectations from the opposition, and what are we going to add to this debate? Okay, so firstly, what the first proposition stated, and what gets a bit messy in this debate, is that marriage, as it is a religious link, should lose its power in the face of law, okay? So you will need an additional bond, law bonding, a contract, to make you work in those areas like financial, hereditary, power relations, and so on. Because we have to remember one thing. For what marriage was created? Marriage was created from one hand to show the society that we love each other in the name of God and in the name of society. But secondly, marriage was a thing to control the issues of children. That whose children is that? You assess it by telling it is the children of those people that are married. That was in the Middle Ages and so on and so forth. And the financial issues, that this is the income of this family, this is the money that belongs to those people. And with the development of the state, of this secular state, we already solved those issues like hereditary, financial relationships by contracts and laws. No, thank you. So the very meaning of the marriage switched to the contracts made by in front of law, and what we are with now, we have only a symbolic message made by the marriage, and this symbolic message is not good by the side of the government. We believe that it somehow harms the situation. How is that? Because often, especially, I'm not talking about the big cities, but in the country, okay? Like in towns, like in villages, look, people just think, okay, there are some issues between us, but when we get married, it will all solve somehow out, okay? It will level out, God will help us, and we will make it through, okay? They do not think that much about the consequences, about who is getting what, who is in charge of what, whose children it will be, how would the future look like. They think that this is a symbolic gate they come through, and it somehow will get even, okay? So we, as a government, clearly think that people should think about it more, alright? So by implementing, no thank you, such a policy, we make them think, okay? They will have to arrange a few things, like financial things, like things about the children, where would the money go? So if they are to speak about it, they will have to raise this issue. And we think that the state message is clear here, that if we raise this issue, it will get better and better. Because what the opposition is saying, okay, we may stay with social advertising. No. Let's have a look at the gay rights issue. There was a lot of social advertising all over the world. Did it change the situation? No, never. What changed the situation? No, thank you. What changed the situation was a clear message made by the government, a clear message by the state that gays are acceptable in the society. And this is what we are going to do in here. We are to tell people that they have to think about many, many things apart from what they are going to wear during the ceremony, if they will get rings or not. Please.
Talking about gay people, homosexuals, they really want the equal rights. So they want marriage. That's what they want. They want for this thing.
I will tell you what they want. They want a recognition. They want to be recognized in the name of law, to make the hereditary things, to go to the hospital, to visit the other couple. They do not need marriage. They need recognition. They need to know that they are together and they may do certain things together. And no thank you, you had your time. And what we are proposing here is to give them a chance to form a relation, some kind of a relation that will be, and this is mainly the message of the state. So if we see that it has been affected once in history, so we can foster it now again. We can move it through once again, so people will see that the true meaning of marriage, as I have told you, the relationships between people, have to be thought over. It's not only a symbolic thing like we think nowadays. What the rising amount of divorces clearly shows. Okay, so if we are to improve these things, we have to do that. And by such an amendment, we will think about those people who are now oppressed. So okay, so let's have a look at women and homosexuals. I would like to elaborate somehow on that part. That now in the society you have a clear view that you have to be married somehow. So if a man and a woman come into relation, there may be some abuses, and we hear a lot of them, and they happen especially in the apart from the biggest cities. They happen, but the women really refuse to go to the police to get divorced because they think that they are now married and so on and so forth. And if they get this contract, they will understand their rights. That this is not only about going in front of God. This is about forming a relationship, forming a contract, that we are together because we want to, because we are joined somehow. We are getting together because we have a clear vision of our future. And if one of us abuses that, we may separate. Okay? Now it is hard because in the name of now you have to give a clear reason why you are divorcing, whether it was an abusal, whether it was cheating, whether there were other serious things on stake. So if we make it only by contract in the name of law, they will know that they can opt out any moment. So this will protect those women that are now being abused, and it is an important message, Mr. Speaker. It's an important message. Because if we know that there are so many abuses now, and people feel somehow oppressed by this symbolic meaning, if we give such a message, if state fosters such a message, people will know that it's not only about symbols; it's about how they live together, and we want them to live together, but live with a serious conscious what they are doing and how they are forming their relationships. So by this I mean that the message of the state will be so important for the people that the changes that have been already proposed will happen. And by this I beg you to propose the motion.
Right, thank speaker for his speech and invite the first speaker of closing opposition, the member.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Mr. Speaker, today we're discussing a very important for every country topic connected with marriages. And our dear opponents have already made several contradictions in their speeches, but I will talk about this a bit later. First of all, I would comment upon the previous speech, and secondly, I would like to introduce our new arguments. What concerns the previous speech? The proposition strongly believes that a contract with checkbox, they can't even match what are the main topics in it, whether it is your disadvantages and advantages or your financial liabilities. We haven't understood it. The list of checkbox will solve all the problems. But you know, if we turn to reality, when people are young, they're in love, they look at each other only with positive thoughts, you are trying to force them to search for disadvantages in each other. You know, it's like if you are not afraid at once, it will be easy for you to skip afterwards. Because it is all written in this contract, we don't know what is it about. And you know, besides, if you are going to find all the disadvantages in you for the whole your life, people live with each other for years, for decades. And when you are 20, 25, trying to invent those disadvantages is like long-run weather forecast. You know only that in summer it is warm and in winter it is cold, and nothing else. Things change with years, people change with years. Situations can be unpredictable. Someone may be hurt, someone can achieve some disease, heart attack, whatever. It can't be predicted so easily. And you are trying to just frighten young people who are going to get married, to give birth to children, by looking for disadvantages in each other. I'm sorry, later. What concerns divorces? One more important point is that it will improve the situation with divorces. But you know, by implementing this plan, we will not solve the problem why people split, why people get divorced. People will still anyway get divorced, but at that time, instead of ex-wife, the woman will be told something like ex. It used to be something like a wife. It won't change the situation when people split, and I will explain it a little bit later in my extension. What concerns women and gays who are afraid of getting divorced and who are suppressed by the society, you know, the suppression of society, as our colleagues have already mentioned, makes people think thoroughly, not to get divorced later and not to be abandoned by this suppression of society. Yes, please.
It doesn't make them think before they make this contract. They move into a marriage because they think that everything will be solved, and then they are in such a situation that, okay, something didn't work out, so what we are going to do? What we are claiming here is to go into a situation, that we think before, okay?
Thank you very much. I got your point, but this is what I'm going to talk about in our extension, that when people get married and they feel that the social suppression, they talk not only to each other in this private sheet of paper with check boxes. I love you, you love me, I have these disadvantages, you have those. No, we are telling to the society we love each other. We will do our best to spend our life together with each other and to support. A marriage is a compromise. It's not a list of check boxes. We all have disadvantages, and marriage gives confidence, protection, and support in crisis situation in life. And instead, we're getting along with those disadvantages of each other. And the proposition just says, okay. What concerns our extension, it will all be explained in our extension. Our extension consists of two main parts. First is frames and guidelines from government how to act for real people. And the second is the idea of consumerism, which will be spread after the institution of marriage will be abolished. The first frames and guidelines from government. We strongly disagree that all the mottos and all the tasks that marriages were initially invented to solve are solved nowadays by law, such as to show that people love each other, who children is that, financial and only symbolic is remain. No, it is not so. Today, in the Middle Ages, church was the main ideological center of the society. Nowadays, it turned out so that it is government. And government should somehow give people guidelines and create frameworks how to act. And besides what concerns financial and political issues, each government of each country controls its population by families. It needs to know the development of the society. It needs to know how many children there are, how many children were born by a single person. It's many cases in terms of statistics. Besides, it's a governmental support for families, building of new houses. It's very important, the number of rooms in a flat. It is all based on the number of families and the number of children. It's very important. And besides, it's important for the population to know how to act, that the government gives social guarantees and so on and so forth. And besides, divorce is not such an easy thing to do, you know. It's not just we go to the court and then we split. No, there are 3 months period when people can come to a conclusion and so on and so forth. So it's not such an easy thing. It lasts for half a year, and so on and so forth. It's very responsible. And the second idea is the consumerism, which will be spread. In the interview, one pair who lived with each other for 60 years said that they were born in times where people used to fix things, not to buy new ones when something goes wrong. And the proposition proposes us to throw away those people you don't like and just to replace them with someone else. It's the consumerism, but you know, the consumerism does not make people happier in the end, because we're looking for happiness, and happiness is something mysterious, which we all think that is in future. But in fact, we should deal somehow with those people who are near us, and they are our happiness. We're in love somehow. And we are in love, we have children, and so on and so forth. To sum it all up, our extension is that government should form frameworks and guidelines for its population, and that the abolishment of institution of marriage will lead to the spread of consumerism in the society. So fix the things, not buy new ones. Thanks for attention.
Right, thank the speaker for the speech, the final speech in the government bench today.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the first very quick rebuttal to some points that you made, and then I will move to my three areas of clashes, which will discuss all the other doubts of this debate. So these areas are, it is the status of marriage, which is legal, either legal or symbolic power that lies behind it. Then the message that the state wants to send by this proposition, and finally I will talk about the disadvantages of this marriage, how it works now. So starting with this rebuttal, first of all, you are trying to say that the government stops giving any dotations or money for the people who will not be married, but already it works like this, that the government pays for the couples and for the children that is registered for the couple, not for the marriage exactly. And secondly, you're talking about the consumerism, but if there is a 30% of divorced couples in the first 5 years of their marriage, it's still, we now can say this is a consumerism, because it's not a long-term and responsible relation, as we can see on this divorce rate, which is 30%. I draw your attention to that. So moving to the areas in the USA, obviously, this divorce rate, I wanted to say. So moving to the areas of clash. The first one is the status of the marriage. Is it symbolic or legal message? We've already shown you that this decision that are the biggest seals between the couples are this financial matters, whether we take credit together, whether we want to build a house together, whether we want to buy a house, even rent, whether we want to have children, whether we want to, I don't know, do a business together. Those are the decisions that are legalized or that has some law basis in other documents, in other contracts. So this, if we put marriage to that, this is just the superfluous law that is no longer valid in these legal cases, but it's valid in this its symbolic place when we talk about the message to the public and to show that we are together. So we don't need to impose this law. It's better because it's been formed itself. It's been formed itself that we are getting more contract orientated in the relation status. So we would like to propose you this contract because it's been moving toward this solution itself. Full stop here. Moving to the second point. The state message that we send, and this is the extension of our government, is that what the state message is that responsibility and rational calculations, it's really important in the case of marriage, because I'll give you an example. Is it harder to say I will love you for the rest of my life, or is it harder to say I will pay the credit for the 30 years with you, living in the same building? So we will think more about this decision. 30 years in the same building, paying every month, so I will earn and pay, and love each other for the rest of my life. We will be happy forever. That's the easier decision. But if you consider how it's going to be realized, you will end up here, and then you may realize, I'm not going to pay this credit. I'm not going to live with this person all my life together. So what we are going to do is we are going to offer, not now yet, we are going to offer you the solution to show you that the marriage should be calculated. So as it was in the beginning, if you read Richard Browning, for instance, or some other Victorian poets, you will see that the marriage was discussed, and there were some grounds, there were some expectation requirements from each side saying what do I really mean by you love me? You love me, which means we will live together, you will respect me, you will allow me to go for holidays, I want to be a painter, I want to realize myself, I want self-actualization, and this sort of things. And in case I would like you to provide me with some money, I would like you to work in the company, I will take care of the children, that's fine. But if we realize marriage like it is now, it's just a symbolic act that doesn't have a real meaning. People don't know how to define it. And in fact, when they end up, after a few years of the marriage, they see that we haven't settled that, and then where the problem starts. Not yet. Hold on a second. Not yet. So this is not calculated. This is not responsible. That's why the divorce comes. And we don't want divorce because it's also a problem for this is a burden for courts, for these people. There is a high pressure for them. So divorce is always bad, and I don't think I need to prove it further. So if we step like you propose, there will be more. The divorce will continue like this. And if we will be more responsible as we propose, there is a chance that people will get to the decision to marry more thoughtfully, slowly, and then it will be more solid, and they will be together for a longer time, even for the rest of their life. That would be perfect. So finally, the last area of clash is the bad consequence, the disadvantages of this symbolic marriage. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Is that the stigma that is put on some groups? This woman, this oppressed, that needs to, that are somehow socially restrained to marry, that do have to do this act to function in the local society. And for instance, if the woman is 30, she starts thinking, even if the man is not perfect enough, even if we don't settle all the matters perfectly well, I need to marry because this is a message to the society. I need to be married because otherwise I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not even good enough to get a proper job and to be respected equally well. So this is what we want to. This kind of stigmatization we want to get rid of, because it makes people marry without good understanding of each other and without good calculation, which is key thing in this case. So, summing it up in 3 words, this is a symbolic message that do a lot of harm, and it's not rational anymore, and it doesn't have any good consequence. That's why we want to abolish that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Last speech in this debate, in this round, opposition debate.
Thank you very much. I hope that one day everyone in this room will be happy together with the person who will find and live with him together for the rest of his life. And I hope I will as well. So, to the points of clash that we had in this debate, I found out 3. First one is about policy. Will it bring positive consequences on our society or not? Second one is about what does marriage means for the state, for the government. The third one is what the marriage means for the people. What message does it bring to them? So the first one, we were talking a lot about this policy, but we haven't clearly seen from the side of the opposition what really changes the situation in the policy of the government, because they still have to make this kind of legal contract. It won't solve the problem with divorces, because people will still be splitting just because they are different, something changed, and you cannot predict everything in this contract. It's just making some step beforehand. No. Moreover, such contracts already exist. You can just have both. You can have this legal contract, and you can have traditional marriage, which is symbolic. And so marriage, by the word marriage, we actually mean both of these things. Both the symbolic commitment to the society, and the treatment between the treaty between 2 people who are trying to say that if something changes, they will have to split the property or kids or something like that. No. So it is already status quo. The treaties between people already exist, and we see no particular need to abolish just the institution of marriage. And so to the next point. Now, what does this institution of marriage mean to the state? We have clearly asked this question in our speeches, but we haven't received an answer. A message for the state. The meaning of marriage for the state is to get the control over the families, over the cells of the society, and to be able to help the society to progress and develop, to help those families that are poor, that have a lot of kids, to have some social programs, and that's it. So for the government, it is important to have this institution of marriage. No. And why? Especially government should take care on how the people commit to each other. Because people not only commit to each other, but they also commit to the society. People also try to commit and say that they will stay together for a long time. It means that they have a good incentive from the government, a framework, a guideline on which the person is guided in his life. No. And in this case, it means that the government should make this rule because, well, if not the government, then there is no one else to do that. No. So it should be especially the government who should care about people getting married and getting together and committing to each other and committing to the society. You please.
The thing is that the state can oblige its citizens to supply this information to the municipalities or the central government, but it doesn't have to marriage per se.
I get the point. It could be solved. But actually, when the government says, okay, from tomorrow there is no marriage in our society, like have these contracts by yourself as you wish. No. This message means that the government does not take care of how the people will live with each other. It means that the government sends the message to the people, do what you want, just have fun, I don't know, split, talk to each other, do whatever you want, we don't care. This is wrong. This is the introduction of the next point that I would like to make. What does marriage mean for people, and why this idea of abolishing the marriage, even in the symbolic way, makes people, makes our society more consumerized, more, I don't know, treating each other in the way that we can just abandon the person seriously, probably something is wrong for him, we can find a better one, and that's it. So in this case, marriage means to the people that they will be able to fix some problems if they arise, and this marriage, it holds them together in terms of crisis. It means that when the people find some disadvantage in each other, they have to compromise, and marriage helps them to find this compromise because they cannot just run away from each other. They will try to find a solution of the problem instead of avoiding it. No. So abolishing marriage means that we send the message to the people. Like, if you have some problems, you can just run away from each other and nothing will help, will still hold you. No. So, according to this message, we see that if we just throw this message at people, it means that we doesn't make them happier by this message. And this is the core point here. Marriage is about creating some sense of your life. It's about making two people happy together, and it's about making some kids, some development of your personality to the future. No. So the idea of happiness here is important because in our today's society, people are throwing themselves at reaching this happiness, which is actually not that easy thing. They do not understand. They can just find a compromise. Instead, they're running forward, running away. They are just buying new things instead of maintaining the ones that can be fixed. So in this case, we see that the opposition clearly stated this. No one makes you just not to have some kind of legal treaty. You can make it still. You can do both. You can make a legal treaty, you can make a symbolic message, you can make one of these. There are a lot of options to choose. There is a freedom. And the policy of the government just to abolish one of these choices, it violates the freedom of choice and doesn't improve the status quo exactly. Not in the terms of divorces, not in the terms of, some society structure and so on and so forth. Next point is that we have clearly stated to you that the message that should be given from the state is that people, if you have some problems, please try to stay together for some time, try to discuss it, not just run from each other, split this easy checkbox contract and go away. The message of the government should be to keep the families safe. This impacts children also very much, and it was also mentioned on the opposition side. And for the people, it also means that they are not imposing on themselves this idea of consumerism, and that they are trying to keep together and to have these better relationships which can be compromised and can make them really happy. Thank you very much.